Hey Rovers, the big, beautifully cambered bulkhead is only temporarily secured. We're going to permanently secure it right away, and I also want to reveal to you the style of hatch that I'll be installing on the Wave Rover 650. The Wave Rover 650, a design based on my single-handed ocean voyages. She's small, light, but easy to build and strong enough to cross any ocean. My name's Alan Mulholland, and this is the Wave Rover story. So after much deliberation, I have decided to go with the same style of hatch that I had on the original Wave Rover.
Check out Wave Rover's Patreon account. Patreon is a way that you, the viewer, can help support the making of these videos. You can find a link to Wave Rover's Patreon account in the video description.
And my reasoning is, it certainly makes getting in and out of the boat a whole lot easier. It gives me the option that when I stick my body out through that hatch, I'll be able to reach behind me and steer, because really that hatch is a whole lot closer to the rudder than a door style would be. Secondly, I'll be able to stand up in that hatch and do my reefing at the same time, and probably a whole variety of other things. So I believe that that hatch, although it's a little more work, will be my best option. Now, some of you are erroneously under the impression that that hatch failed on the original Wave Rover. When Wave Rover was crossing the Atlantic for the second time, she got hit by a rogue wave and water came in through that hatch. But let me just explain something. That hatch was not secured. Up until that point, I never had a problem with just the weight of the hatch keeping the hatch closed in pretty much every condition. But when the boat was picked up and put, way more than 90 degrees, maybe, it's hard to say, it was all pretty fast, maybe 120 degrees, that hatch now swung open a little bit, and when it did, of course, water came in, tremendous amount of water came in just in a few seconds. But then, of course, the boat righted itself and the hatch was closed. The only reason I know that the hatch opened momentarily, apart from all the water that came in, is because there was a full moon or a partial moon, but there was moonlight that night, and as the hatch opened, I saw the moonlight come in just for the briefest of time, and that's why I know the hatch opened and also closed. But a lot of water did come in. And where did that water go? Well, primarily it went right on top of me. Part of the reasoning there is I need ventilation. So I have two Dorade vents up forward that are designed in on this boat, but I need some sort of ventilation back on this bulkhead so that I can get cross ventilation and keep the hatch closed, as in secured this time. So if you can help me out on this, some sort of venting that would go on this bulkhead, probably one port and starboard, and that would be, I would be able to absolutely secure under the worst conditions, but some sort of mechanism that allows air to get through, but not water. Right. Anyway, so if you can forward me or in the comments your thoughts on that, I need to start thinking about that. Now, time to crack on with securing this bulkhead. So my objective here is to make a great big fillet that will go along between these two planes. Now, the very first thing I've done, apart from sweeping the space, is to put packing tape all along this seam. And the primary reason for that is these temporary supports, I do not want them to become permanent, because the liquid epoxy is going to seep right into that joint right there, and when it does that, it'll bond these two together, and I'll be able to break it free, of course, but not without ripping some laminations off the plywood. And the second reason for doing this is just to prevent a mess from rolling through and into the boat. We'll deal with the inside of the boat at a later date. Right now, I just want to get the outside done. And because we're going with the Wave Rover hatch, I don't have to go all the way across. I just need to stop right where the companionway will be, and I've put a couple of little indicator lines right there to tell me that's as far as I need to go. That puts me about an inch inside the companionway. Same on the other side. Right. So the next thing I want to do is figure out what size fillet do I want. So these make a pretty tiny fillet, if you can see the space. That's good for little things and tight spaces. The black chisels are just a little bit bigger, but I made this before, and that gives me a pretty good size of fillet. It's, on the circumference, it's about an inch, maybe more, from contact to contact. A lot of it will be squeezed under. And then, of course, the fillet itself, let me just clarify something. The fillet itself does add a certain amount of structure, but you really need to cover it in glass to really make it resilient and strong. So we will be just putting the fillet in, and that will give us enough strength that we can take off these internal supports and put on some more permanent ones in the reverse order. I just said that, by the way. Then when the summertime comes around and the temperatures warm up, that's when I'll do most of this grinding and shaping and fiberglassing. I'll do it all at once. I'll try to convince some folks to come out and give me a hand. If you're interested, let me know. Anyway, I'm going with the yellow filleting tool, and I'll just mix up a batch right now just to wet out that surface. So starting from a clean surface, we just want to wet this out. And that makes sure that the plywood has got a good penetration of epoxy, and then the fillet will adhere to that. Okay, I have a little sandwich bag here with about 50 grams of a mixture of microfibers and what's called filleting blend, which looks to me kind of like a wood flour that's mixed in. All right, so now we're just going to squeeze this into the gap, and we're doing that to fillet. We're going to come back with more to make the fillet. This is just trying to squeeze it into that gap, and it's doing just fine. Oh. Also, this is an opportunity for me to throw those screw holes. I've already put liquid epoxy into them. All right, we are now at our line. So we've got a fair bit left, so I'll just carry on and do the other side. Well, we ran out of power on the main camera, so I'm going to try to do this and hold the camera at the same time. Okay, so that's pretty good. We have a couple of light spots there, and there. So I'm going to reapply some more of this and place it on. Okay, so I've put an extra little bit on here. I'll try to fair it in. That's pretty good. Not bad, really. The temperatures here are not helping. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's not finished, but it's all tooled in. Then we're going to give it a wipe down in a little bit of time. Just let it harden a bit. I'll get heat on it, and then I'll come back and wipe it down with some methyl hydrate, and that'll just get rid of little things like that. If you can see it right there, we'll clean that up. And right now I'm just going to take the chisel. I'm sorry I can't do it and hold the camera at the same time, but I'll be taking the chisel and I'll be just cleaning up the edges of this whole fillet. All right. Well, it's looking pretty good. I gave it a really, really light and quick pass with the methylated spirits and a rag. Really not much to it. You have to be incredibly light in your touch. If you can't do that, best just to leave it alone and then come back with a dowel and some sandpaper after it's hard and clean it up. Anyway, not a big deal. Next time I do this, I will make sure the battery is fully charged. There's going to be lots more filleting before we're done. Well, I managed to get the fillet tented. We've got heat on. But in real time, this is Christmas Eve. So I'm planning to take the rest of the night off. I'm planning to take Christmas Day off. And then on Boxing Day, we'll untent it. We'll take a look at the fillet. And then we'll crack on with some of the more detailed work that needs to be done on all of the bulkheads. Anyway, time to spend some quality time with Mrs. Rover. Well, we've got it untarped now, and we're just taking a look at it. And I'd have to say I'm pretty happy with that. And it's nice and hard. It's smooth. I just have to give that a light sanding before we glass over top it. But like I've already said, we're not glassing this until the weather warms up in the spring, and then we'll do the whole exterior all at the same time. Well, it's New Year's Eve and the snow is all gone, which means I've got some pretty decent temperatures. So I'm going to get a bunch of work done on long pieces like this 16-foot 2x6, just regular construction grade 2x6 that you would use in house building. And that's what I'm using to make the beams that are going to go across these bulkheads. So as you can see, I took one. This is actually a 2x6 that you see right here. It's been shaped down, and that's for the camber going forward. But up here, the top of the big camber, both for bulkhead 3 and 4, I have to do them in segments. So I'll use a 2x6 to span about 3 feet and then pick up the rest with a 2x4. And that's what I'm cutting just outside right now. Well, that's not bad. That's just from the jigsaw, but it's never quite perfect, the jigsaw. So I'm just going to fare that out with a belt sander. You could use a power planer. Anyway, we'll give the belt sander a go. Well, it only took a few seconds, and I've taken it right down to the line, and it's nice and smooth now. So I'll just carry on and do the other side. So here's the beam segment that we've been working on, and it fits just nicely. But now I have to somehow splice another piece of wood that'll go from here to here, and I'll have to router out a piece of it to accommodate this gusset. Now, here's the thing. I'm just showing the other beam right now. These would never be actually on the same side of the bulkhead. This would be on the opposite side to capture the camber going forward, and this is capturing the camber going aft. So they're two different cambers. All right, time to crack on with splicing a piece of wood into here. Oh, and then the other thing that's going through my mind is after I get these spliced, I will cut this back quite a bit to the curve, same curve as the top, just like I have with this one. It's kind of hard to see, but I've matched this curve that the deck will be, the cabin top will be attached to this curve, which is just the underside, which will just make it comfortable to move about inside the cabin. All right, time to crack on with the next step. Okay, so this is what bulkhead 4 looks like. And I haven't glued up this side of it yet, and the reason is because I want to make sure I take care of these gussets first. So let's see, we'll just remove that. Well, first of all, let me just tell you what's happening with this beam. So this beam, of course, the top of it captures the camber, the deck camber, and the bottom of it is just a thoroughfare. I'll probably be routering out this little bit of plywood right here so that the access underneath, you know, is nice to get forward. All right, so we'll move this beam off a little bit, and then these gussets. So there's two parts that I have to glue up. So the rest of this has already been glued. I'll have to glue in this little filler piece, and then I'll glue in this piece, and we'll do the same on the other side. Now, I've already done it to the previous side you just saw, but over here, what we're looking at right here is a joint, you know, from the previous glue up. It's nice and strong, but my concern is that I've got to get glue in there, and it's sort of tight here and it's open a little bit there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that right up so there's good access for glue to get in, and I'll just use the skill saw for that. There we go. Nice job. I've got the saw set that it's taking off about a 32nd of an inch, you know, a fraction of a millimeter of the gusset underneath, and we're just going to squeeze glue into that whole space with thickened epoxy, and it'll be great. Wow, what a difference. Just yesterday I was looking at bare grass. As you just saw from the previous segment, the weather has turned against us again, and it's a bit cool in the workshop to do this, but I'm going to glue up this beam right here to the plywood, and I'm just going to use Titebond 3. I'm not using epoxy for this, and why is that? Because basically this is a flat surface will be gluing to another flat surface. There's no changes in height at all, so there's no gap filling requirement. Now, to get ready for this, I've drilled holes that are approximately 8 inches apart. I have them located in the upper third of where the beam will be, and the reason is because that would be a very difficult place to clamp, so I can just use screws to hold it in, and those screws will stay in because this is all on the inside. And the lower portion of the beam, if I need to, I can clamp that because that distance there isn't so deep. Anyway, time to get the glue on and get going on this. Oh, finally, another thought on this. This glue in these temperatures that I have inside this little room here, well, this glue should be hard enough to unclamp after about 30 or 40 minutes. We'll probably give it a bit longer than that. We'll give it an hour. And then I can come back and proceed with the next step, which is gluing this, the gussets on here, and that will be done with epoxy. All right, let's crack on with this gluing. Okay, so I squeezed the glue out there. Now it's time to spread it out a bit. Okay, the glue is thoroughly spread out. We have a nice coating. Now with this glue, which is called Titebond 3, which is a waterproof PVA glue, you want to be quite liberal with it. You want to see a good deal of squeeze out after you've clamped it up. Okay, so now with the glue nicely spread out, we're going to try to get this exactly where we want it in one go. I've got a few little lines to help me. But if you have a second person, that would be ideal. Okay, so now I'm centered. Just make sure our height is good. Our height's good there. And the height is, there we go. All right, double check, we're good. Now, is not going anywhere now. Had a bit of squeeze out. We're still good in that edge. We're a little bit low there. Now's the time to fix it. Okay, we're good there. And we're good there. Now I'll get a second screw in, and that should make all the difference. Okay, so I've got the screws in, and like I said, they're 8 inches apart. And the screws are, as you can see here, they are number 10s, 1.25 inches. Number 10 refers to the diameter of the screw, and they are, let me see if I can pick this up, a Robertson head. And I've countersunk them because this is going to get filled in with an epoxy sealer. This is all glued up, clamped up, and cleaned up. But I'm just a little reminiscent here. This room, which is now just full of clutter, I do need to organize it, and I'm sure there'll be a comment or two about that. I will first chance I get when the weather turns really nasty. But this is the room that Mrs. Rover and I lived in for 1.5 years while we built the homestead and did the preliminary work on Wave Rover. Okay, we've got both of the gussets wetted out. I'm just going to focus on this one for demonstration purposes. So I really want to make sure that I fill that gap that I'd opened up with the saw cut. I'm going to press that in. Okay. Yep, we've got good penetration there. I can see from the edge here it's gone right through to the other side. So now it's just a matter of spreading this out. This is my regular spreader. That's a much better job. Okay, I think we can stop there. And I've previously wetted out this piece. I've sized it up, and all we need to do is just get it in place just like that. Terrific. It's exactly where we want it. We'll just put a little bit of clamping on that. You can get a little bit of skating when you clamp, you can either put a fastener in, like a little finishing nail, that'll do it, or just take your time and get the clamps directly so they're not at an angle, and that'll prevent it as well. I'm also pretty fortunate on this because I'm up against something tight and it can only really move a tiny bit anyway. Well, we are all glued up on the gussets. This is a very strong, partial bulkhead right now. Now with the extra epoxy that was left over, I was able to make a nice fillet. And I'll tell you, making a fillet inside a heated room is a piece of cake compared to making it outside in the cold. It just turns out so much nicer. Well, you never get quite as much done as you think. You know, with these temperature fluctuations, it's like the proverbial slow as molasses in January. Now, in the next video, I want to show you how I accomplished this segmented beam. There's another one going on the next bulkhead. That's the one we'll be doing. And with a bit of luck, and if the temperatures cooperate, I would really like to get the bulkheads in their permanent positions. Anyway, Rovers, as always, thanks for watching. I'd like to take a moment to honor the Wave Rover benefactors. So what is a benefactor? Well, these folks have made a contribution of $100 US or more to the project, and their names will be affixed to a bulkhead inside Wave Rover and will be traveling with me on our circumnavigation. Now, these donations truly are much appreciated. Well, the Wave Rover patrons, with their pledges of support, really do make the creation of these videos possible. Now, if you'd like to know more about Wave Rover's patron page and benefactors bulkhead, I have links to both those pages in the video description. Now, another way to help Wave Rover, and it doesn't cost you a dime, is by sharing our content on your social media. So now, as always, Rovers, thanks for watching. Give us one more. Brilliant.